Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, and I'm super excited because today I'm going to officially finish migrating from DayOne to Obsidian. So I started with a physical diary on April 12th of 2020, which is about a month after the COVID-19 pandemic started. So, as you can see, it was structured pretty much like a diary. Dear Diary, welcome to the ramblings and rantings that has been filling my head during the coronavirus 19 lockdown. And here it is. But then on September 10th, I switched over to a Google Doc, probably because I was getting too tired of writing everything by hand. So I switched over to a Google Doc. And here's my Google Doc right here. This was March 14th, March 13th, March 12th. I just journaled, wrote down about all my thoughts. But as you can see, after that, I wrote all further entries are recorded in the DayOne journaling app. So after using a Google Doc on March 15th, 2021, I switched over to DayOne, which is a journaling app that looks like this. And I have here off the top journal, which is an extension of the Google Doc. I just copy pasted all the entries over into an entry here. So for example, here are some more recent entries. This is brainstorming the next phase, Obsidian. I have just like writing down my car insurance rates and just like any note I want to keep. I also created more journals. I bought the premium version of DayOne so I could store more journals. I have a to-do journal, which is just my to-do lists for every day. I have Eternals, which is mapping out very long-term goals. Foodie, a bunch of notes about food. I did a thing. More short-term projects, but still sort of ongoing projects. Notes, and then have some more journals about dance projects, computer science, etc. But then, after about 3 years of using DayOne, I wanted to migrate over to Obsidian. Because Obsidian is super powerful. Obsidian is a note-taking app that instead of storing all the notes in the cloud, like in DayOne, on DayOne servers, it stores them locally on your device in Markdown format. And it's completely open source, so you can add in a bunch of plugins and build your own plugins if there's functionality that doesn't exist. And it has a bunch of links so that you can hyperlink all your notes together into a big web people usually refer to as a Zettelkasten. So this migration was significantly more involved than the previous migrations because I had about 3 years worth of notes. So I built a Python script to migrate all my notes over. I basically forked an existing script to migrate DayOne to Obsidian from Lucy DYU, but with the added Google Photos plugin installed. So I downloaded my DayOne folders as a JSON export, which is how DayOne allows you to export your files. And then this script converts the DayOne JSON export into individual entries for Obsidian with the Google Photos plugin installed. So the reason I wanted to use the Google Photos plugin is because in Obsidian, I still wanted to have my data synced between my computer and my phone. And it's really expensive to sync that much data in between devices. So instead, I store all my data in Google Photos, and then every time I want to access a photo, I can see it from the cloud. So for example, in this first entry, I took a photo of my original physical diary entry. But I can click here, and then it will open up this photo in high resolution on Google Photos. And that way I can sync it between my devices while keeping the entire size of my vault under a gigabyte. So how the script works is it goes through all of the entries in my DayOne journals. And if I had an entry like this, it says, "Hello Obsidian, this is an example entry with a lot of text and media. I have a photo, an audio file, a PDF, and a video." Then when I run the script, it will resize the thumbnail images of all photos to a smaller size so that it can fit within the range of the Obsidian limits. And then it uploads the photo in high resolution to Google Photos. But if it suspects you've already uploaded the photo to Google Photos, it will prompt the user to enter it. So after converting that entry, it'll look something like this. It adds some metadata at the top, like the date, weather, tags, and location. And then it changes the photo into this format right here, which is a link to the photo in Google Photos. So on May 8th, 2024, I first downloaded Obsidian. Here was me playing around with the different features, like adding a new note, trying out the bullet points, checkboxes, and then I used the Python script to migrate all of my notes from DayOne into this folder right here in Obsidian, DayOne to sort. And then I went through the long process of moving all of my notes in this folder into new folders according to my new organization scheme for Obsidian. And today I'm finally going to delete this folder. All of these folders are empty. I finally finished moving all my notes. And now, here we go. Delete. Wow! Yay! So now I'm fully in Obsidian, so I'll do a quick showcase of my vault. First, I have the assets folder, which contains all of the different images and videos that are thumbnail sized with the full media being shown in Google Photos. I have the journal, which was originally the off the top journal from the Google Doc, and it got translated into off the top journal in DayOne. And as you can see here are all of my off the top journal notes, and I have them organized with both a topic and a format. So, for example, reflections on The End, The Energy Never Dies. Great album by the Black Eyed Peas, which I love. The Energy Never Dies. Topic is music, format is reflection, and then I have my notes here, about what I thought about the album. So that's my journal folder. In my dance folder, I have, similarly, a list of all of my dance notes. And this MOC, or map of content, is to be improved. I want to add, instead of just having tags, I want to add some more of the properties such as choreographer, style, type, etc. But for example, the star lift. This is such a great video. Yay! I love this video. Like I said, I'd like to improve this MOC, but for now, I can just use the search feature. So for example, let's say I want to say path dance, and then I can say choreographer Ezra Talk. Now, this will only show me the notes that I added the front matter of choreographer Ezra Tak. So, for example, Le Moulin Bleu. I have choreographer was me, Ezra Tak, and I wrote down my dancers, type, style, music credits, date. Here's the video on YouTube. Here's a map of content and all of the notes I wrote when I was creating this piece. In addition to dance, I also have planner. So planner is what I use for every day, my to-do list. So for example, today, here is my to-do list for today. And finish Obsidian migration. I'm moving all videos and I'm creating the entry right now. And I created a easy navigation menu at the top so I can go to tomorrow's day. Here are my to-dos for tomorrow, day after, and it continues like that. I also have a calendar plugin so I can easily navigate to beyond just yesterday and tomorrow. For example, the 1st of May, I had these to-dos. But I can always go back to today's daily note here. And I also use another plugin called periodic notes. So not only do I have a daily note for every day's to-do list, I also have a weekly note. So for example, last week, here was my meal plan. And I can also write a reflection at the end of each week. Next up, we have the projects folder. And this contains just any consolidation of notes that I want to keep for a certain project, which can sometimes be a little less organized than the other folders. But for example, data migration, which has, as you can see, has been a very long process. Here are all my notes related to my data migration from DayOne to Obsidian. And I also have a map of content for data migration, which, as you can see, is very messy. Right now, I have multiple to-do lists. This is just the to-do list up until this video right now. But I also have this whole to-do list I want to do in the future. And I consider myself officially done with the migration, but there's still a lot more functionality that I hope to keep improving forever as life goes on, as I continue to use Obsidian. Next up, I have my school folder, which contains my notes for different classes I'm taking. And then I have system scripts, which is for just internal workings of my Obsidian Vault. And finally, I have Wiki, which is for more notes that I want to remember forever. So for example, if I want to create documentation for a certain app that I've built, or for example, if I want to document how I use a certain piece of text. So I use a software called Finicky on my Mac to redirect URLs open from Obsidian to be on my personal profile, so that way it can be logged into my Google Photos account. So this is how I documented it in case I ever run into errors related to Finicky. I can just search what might be causing the error. Yeah, that's my Obsidian Vault. Thank you so much for watching.